Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the assassin to the Smile-A-Thon. Mr. Assassin, and can I call you that? Because I don't want any problem.
Yeah, you can call me the assassin.
The assassin. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then go into how you're gonna make us smile?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, hi everyone. My name is the assassin. I assassinate scandal and negativity from Google, social, and the press. So, whether it's a mean tweet or a bad review or the story in the press that says God knows what about you, we can get it gone like it never happened. And on the flip side of that, we're assassinating marketing mediocrity by elevating clients out of obscurity, by getting them to speak at the United Nations, be an Amazon best-selling author or a podcaster because we're trying to change the business paradigm and have opportunity chase you for a change. And when you're a thought leader, that's what happens. And that's what those different things do. So that's what we do.
That is awesome. And I know as the assassin, you have something for us to make us smile. So I'm going to bounce pass it back to you so you can share your smile-a-thon message.
Awesome. 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 So the topic of today's address is about assassinating homelessness. But the story begins many years ago when I was at the lowest point in my life. I was at such a low point that I almost felt like taking my own life. And then I heard a voice. I believe it was the voice of God. And the voice said, Rajiv, stop. And then I stopped. I literally took a few steps back off the ledge. And then what happened after that was my life flashed before me, and I had two choices, do or don't. And the voice instructed me to consider not to go forward on that path. And that then gave me a whole new slew of possibility and potential. And then, since then, my life has taken a totally different direction. And that point has actually inspired me tremendously to make that my mission. So my mission is about assassinating hopelessness because when you assassinate hopelessness, what is left is hope. And with hope, you have a whole amount of possibility. And hope is what, in my opinion, will make the world a better place. So, how does this take shape? And how am I accomplishing this objective of assassinating hopelessness? Well, it takes a couple of different shapes. For example, my company, R Square Media, we have a deep focus on coaching and mentoring because I have been blessed for so many years to benefit from various coaches and mentors that have poured their wisdom into me. And I know the power of mindset, the power of direction, the power of nurture, and also the power of encouragement. And because of this, for the longest time, we have a deep focus on coaching and mentoring at my company, R Square Media. In fact, one of in fact, our program is so popular that we receive about 650 applications each year from Handshake. Handshake is the platform in the US that connects all the top schools and universities with employers in the US. And we get applications from all the best schools in the US, whether it's the Ivy Leagues as well as the level below the Ivy Leagues and all the other schools and universities from the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, South, all of them. And that's been going really well. In fact, our promise to these students is about helping them land their dream job in their dream company quickly. And so far, we have an amazing track record of keeping good to that promise because on average, when candidates leave our program, they have at least 3 to 4 job offers from their ideal company of choice. Now, part of this has allowed us to partner with New York State Department of Labor, and we had the opportunity of working with at-risk youth. Now, just like anyone else, I had my own bias against that population. I was thinking all those crazy things that you think about when you think about a certain disenfranchised section of society. and you think about, oh my God, oh, what are they going to do to me? Are they going to hurt me? Are they going to steal from me or something like that? And when I worked firsthand with these students, these kids, my eyes were open. In fact, my takeaway was that, sure, these people do have some behavioral issues. They have tics. Some of them may have Tourette syndrome. But if you can move past that and pour into them a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of nurture, a little bit of understanding, a little bit of empathy, direction, coaching, amazing things are possible. And I encountered firsthand how these students that were written off by society produced amazing results. They were extremely gifted at writing elaborate scripts for social media, creating content, coming up with new ideation for social media, even coming up with ideas for promotions, running for clients, many of which our clients loved at the very first instance of sharing with them for feedback. So it was a stupendous runaway success. And this entire experience somehow got on the radar of the United Nations, which got me invited to speak at the World Homelessness Summit. And the topic of my speech, when I spoke at the United Nations for the very first time, which was in Feb 14, 2020, just before the pandemic. This was one of the last few events at the United Nations before everything shut down. And my speech was solving homelessness by leveraging coaching and technology. And the reason why the United Nations thought that I was qualified to speak on this subject is because I had firsthand knowledge of directly working with at-risk youth. And as I'm sure you are aware, just as is the case with homelessness, even with at-risk youth, there is a mindset component that is a significant component that is directly driving certain behavior, certain choices, certain ways of thinking. And just like in homelessness, even though homelessness is a very broad and chronic issue, systemic, endemic as well, but mindset is one of those components. And the United Nations thought that if we're able to solve for this, we have a pathway of coming up with an idea. So I delivered my short 7-minute speech at the United Nations. And what happened was really surprising because, first of all, it was an honor to speak at the United Nations. And after that, everyone really liked the speech. It resonated with all the delegates present there. And in fact, one delegate, especially the government of Malawi, loved my speech so much that they absolutely demanded that I help them solve child homelessness in Malawi. So that got me working as a country advisor to the government of Malawi. And I'm still working with them. And the talks are going extremely well. It is a complicated situation in Malawi because they are faced with a variety of challenges, resource, infrastructure. There's half of the country has a very high youth population. Half the country is under the age of 18. So Africa is one of those nations where it is perhaps the only continent in the world that has the highest youth population in the world. And just like other African nations, Malawi also has a very high youth population. And unfortunately, since Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world, as well as in Africa, a significant part of the population is under the poverty line. And that has resulted in many of the youth being homeless and living on the street. In fact, I think the official term used in Malawi is street-linked youth or street-linked children. That is the term that is used in Malawi to describe this population. And unfortunately, this population is taking cues from the wrong areas of society and is turning their attention to crime as a way of sustaining themselves. And my goal, my mandate with the government is to work with them, to invite them to see a different future, to see a different possibility. In fact, I have a nonprofit called Bright Now. Our website address is yourfutureisbright.org. A pretty cool name. I should say so myself. And one of our missions is to enable other nonprofits in the world to be better at what it is that they do. So one of our projects is in Brazil. So we're working with a nonprofit that's based in Bahia, Brazil. And the founder is a black belt in capoeira, originally from New York, as it turns out, and he relocated to Brazil. And what he's doing is he's working with the street kids in Brazil in teaching them laws of attraction and meditation and concepts of discipline and identity, and essentially visualization, giving them the tools and resources of visualizing a future that does not involve living on the street. So there are various methodologies that are being used in Brazil that are applicable in various other places in the world. And the learnings from Brazil are being applied in Malawi as well. And of course, Malawi it's a multi-pronged attack to solve this very complex issue. One issue, of course, is fundraising, where we're working with the government to raise funds externally from foreign direct investment, various philanthropies, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Clinton Foundation, various celebrities like Madonna that are already active in the region. So we're working with them to enlist their continued or extended support for funds which can be deployed in creating resources for the youth in Malawi. That's one area of work. Another area of work is in coaching and mentoring, because it's really important that these kids are able to visualize a different path, a path where they are becoming more contributing members of society, where they are able to support themselves, where they can enjoy the benefit of or the reality of financial freedom, and essentially to be able to live with dignity. Because when you have dignity, you're living life on your own terms. You're not living on the street. You have a job, you have a home, you have clothes on your back, food on your table, and you have a certain quality of life, and you're moving up in life. And that is the goal of the program, to equip people with that vision so that they can race towards it. Another program that is already in motion, this is something that happened after my last speech at the United Nations. I usually speak at the United Nations 2 to 3 times every year since 2020. One of the earliest speeches that I gave at the United Nations was at CSW 68. CSW stands for Commission on the Status of Women. It was their 68th year. And the topic of my speech was socioeconomic enhancement by leveraging AI and technology. And this was for women's empowerment, because March is Women's History Month here in the US. And like I mentioned earlier, Africa has a very high youth population, and part of that very high youth population is a high female youth population. And many African nations, including Ghana and Nigeria, wanted to create a movement where they could equip this large youth population with learning so that they could then participate in enjoying the dream of financial freedom. In fact, the speech was, as of right now, there's a very large economy that exists, and that is the digital content creation economy. Essentially, creating content for social media. So that industry is currently estimated at being worth $35 billion, and it is projected to jump to $90 billion, $90 billion in just 5 years. So that opportunity is going to exponentially grow. And there's a possibility for the youth in Africa, in Ghana and Malawi to participate in this great boom. And by participating in this boom, they are then able to support themselves, live with dignity, be contributing members of society, encourage others like them, so that it then becomes a self-sustaining mechanism. And it's a way for them to realize all of their hopes and dreams. And essentially, all of this is goes back to what I was talking about, which was assassinating hopelessness. Because when we're assassinating hopelessness, we're infusing hope into the world. And in doing so, we're then literally changing the world, the country, the society, the local society from the inside out, from all the way from the grassroots upwards. And I think that is definitely one of the sustainable approaches that is being employed right now in Africa, which I'm party to, and I'm doing my part in trying to realize this new world. So I hope that this message resonated with someone. And if you'd like to learn more, you can certainly visit my website, yourfutureisbright.org, or connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Rajiv Jadhav, also known as The Assassin. So if you look up The Assassin on LinkedIn, there's a high likelihood that you'll see me there.
I wanted to just commend you for playing so big. You and I had a conversation about the United Nations. I was brought, Dr. Michelle Mraz and myself were flown out to Qatar to receive ambassadors of peace to the United Nations. And, you just pinch yourself, like you can be at a global leader level if you just want to make a difference in the world, like not just a local, but a big global issue. And you're taking on some very big ones. And I'm excited to know you through the Millionaire Mindset, the Millionaire Mastermind. And Travis Brady has amazing events in Phoenix and also in Salt Lake City. And, you go to masterminds, you meet people like the Assassin. And at first, I didn't know what to make of your name, but when I heard your big heart, I said, I would love to have you at the Smile-A-Thon. And you really are hitting the points that the Smile-A-Thon's about. It's not just about fake happiness. It's about solving problems that make people happy. And so thank you for the work you're doing. And thank you, Travis Brady, for attracting people like the Assassin and the many people that are really making a difference in the world. That's where happiness really begins.